Welcome to CNBC TV18. Now, Bank of Baroda has reported a strong set of numbers, especially when you look at the asset quality picture. The fresh slippages are at 7-quarter low of just 2,200 odd crores. They have beaten our number in terms of the NII growth. Lower other income has impacted the profits. However, they have reported a strong improvement in their asset quality. The gross NPA in absolute value has declined by 1.35%, while net NPA has declined by 5.9%. And look at the ratios. The gross NPA has declined in ratio terms about 60 to 65 basis points. This is the highest gross NPA decline that we have seen. Robust balance sheet growth. Look at the advances growth. Advances growth are at 10-quarter high, and that is at close to 12%. We were working with a number of 9 to 11%. The domestic loan growth has been pretty strong, much above 20% level. The credit cost, that is provisions for NPA divided by advances ratio, is the lowest in last 7 to 8 quarters. And the NCLT list, that pain has reduced in the balance sheet. So that share is right now at 1.88% versus 2.33% in the previous quarter. In absolute value, it has declined by 15.6% sequentially to 8,147 crores. We have with us Darpin Assistant Vice President Institutional Research at HDFC Securities. Darpin, first take what do you make of the numbers?
As you rightly mentioned, absolutely strong numbers, in terms of growth, margins, and more importantly, in terms of asset quality.
So what is your take? Will the street give a thumbs up to this kind of a result? Is it higher than your own estimates?
Yeah, so the main thing is, rather than talking about, the bad estimates, the better way to look at the current scenario in corporate banks is, the improvement in asset quality. So if you see the numbers, slightly reduction in GNPA and lower slippages is a much positive thing for Bank of Baroda.
Also, Darpin, there is a huge reduction, in absolute value. The NCLT list has reduced by 15.6%. Now, that reduces the, pain in the balance sheet. Am I correct in reading this?
Yes, absolutely correct. And further to add to it, they already have a superior coverage ratio of almost 70%, which gives an additional benefit to Bank of Baroda.
Mayuresh, first take, what do you make of this number? We have with us Mayuresh Joshi, Fund Manager, PMS of Angel Broking.
So, Abhishek, evening. Yes, I think very good set of numbers by Bank of Baroda, because what I've heard in terms of asset quality has sharply improved. In fact, the better number has come in from the slippages. So they were expected to moderate, but again, I think the kind of absolute numbers in terms of slippages that they've reported is very, very good. Again, I think PCR in excess of 70-odd%, and what they've reported even in terms of the NII growth 20%, a tad bit lesser than my estimate, but I think it is still better. So I think yes. On key parameters, I think the bank has delivered a good set of numbers.
We also have with us Lalitab Srivastav, Associate Vice President, BFSI of Share Khan, joining us on the line. Lalitab, first take, what do you make of the numbers?
Yeah, I think results are better than expected. Clearly, the most important thing was how the asset quality was going to behave. I think that is the improvement in asset quality is a positive thing, and at the same time, even though slippages have come down at a multi-quarter low, I think that is also a positive. So overall, I think this should be seen in a positive light.
Darpin, my question to you on the balance sheet growth, over the last 6 quarters, we have seen an improvement in the balance sheet growth, largely led by the domestic portfolio, and it continues to perform really well, growing at about 20% even in this quarter. They are well capitalized. So do you expect that loan growth momentum to sustain from here?
Yes, of course. If you see the way Bank of Baroda has shifted its balance sheet over the last 3 years, first they calibrated their growth there was a time when they reduced it to or decreased the balance sheet as well, and now they are growing it fantastically, especially the domestic book, and within that also with risk-based pricing, they are able to grow their retail book as well.
Mayuresh Joshi, what do you make of these numbers, especially loan growth being very healthy? Why I'm saying healthy is that the slippages are at 7-quarter low.
No, so I think that's a positive trend as well. And when you're talking about the international book as well, I think the international book has come down quite drastically. So if I'm not mistaken, at least on the last quarter, it was around 20-odd%. And the expectations of MOB actually having a reasonable amount of loan growth with a specific focus specifically in terms of the retail portfolio, I think that is also one of the positive takeaways in my opinion. So I think if they're able to mention that they are growing the retail book well, and again, I think the quality of the retail portfolio will also improve. I think that is also a very good sign in terms of the overall lending book that the bank possesses.
Lalita, one last question to you. Well-capitalized bank, growing very healthy. And the fact is that the credit cost, that is provisions for NPA, is at multi-quarter low. What do you make of the numbers?
See, numbers are, I think, encouraging in one other aspect as well. The NIMs of international operations have started improving from 1.15 to 1.66%. Bank of Baroda was going for a business recalibration and it was trying to go into more profitable areas and come out of, mere balance sheet growth paradigm which was seen earlier in PSU Bank. I think that is transforming and resulting in a very good performance for the bank. This improvement in NIM, especially in a time when most of the other banks and NBFCs are facing cost of funds pressure, I think this is a very important and notable thing this quarter.
Okay. To sum it up, thank you all the guests for joining us. To sum it up, the results are pretty strong in terms of the balance sheet growth being at multi-quarter high, arresting the slippages that has been a key factor, and improvement in net interest margin continues to support the P&L. That's a wrap now. India Business Hour coming up next. Stay tuned to CNBC TV18.